hello there, everybody. How the devil are we all? I'm very well, I thank you for asking. I am here significantly earlier than I would usually be, and I haven't bothered with the lights behind me because you wouldn't be able to fucking see them. It's the middle of the day. I'm on this early because of foosball. And yes, when telling Christy about this, I literally did use that weird B letter thing in German that means two S's. So it's Fußball. Because I'm culturally sensitive like that. And I've totally forgotten about the Second World War. I would never mention it on my channel. So it's not an issue. I'm past it. You know, that war that I fought in. I've not just got a wooden leg, I've got a wooden body because of that war. I hope you know that. Anyway, it's very early. I hope. Right, I've had to put up this. Right, strange thing. There is my. Technically, they're neighbours, but my back garden backs onto the side of their house. There's a small alleyway in between. Anyway, and that house there, right? Lovely house. They've got a tiny little dog. You're very yappy, and a big, massive blind dog. That's irrelevant. I just wanted to picture it. It's awesome, right? They're also in their back garden. They've got birds, right? They keep birds. Which is mostly none of my fucking business, really. Except one of the cunts is very loud, specifically at 2 different times of the day. Firstly, first thing in the morning, very, very loud, right? And it goes repeatedly, sometimes for up to a minute or 2 at a time, and then it'll stop. Then it'll start again. And it's been doing that again now, right? Because when the sun starts to go down, they go mental again, right? And I've purposely left my window wide open, even though it's probably best to anyway because it's quite warm. And I hope it continues to make that noise, just so you in the chat can hear this fucking bird that I want to actually beat up. I want to physically assault this bird, okay? I want to actually do that. But it's because I've gone live, it stopped to make me look like a liar. I'm being gaslit by birds. Clip that out of context. Anyway, I'm not going to be on for a very long time. Much like former Prime Minister, or Prime Miniature, if you will, Rishi Sunak, this is going to be very short. I've got till about 7, so I've got probably about an hour and a half. And I thought we could watch some slop. A bird is knocking at your window. No, it squeaks. Not squeaks. It squawks. It makes a noise that sounds like an electronic pulse or something. Look, I can't really do it. Anyway, and it does it for fucking ages, man. But literally, the second I've gone live, it stopped. To make me look like a liar. If it's not rats the size of fucking T-Rexes that stalk the land, it's birds annoying me. Birmingham is, honestly, it's like the Serengeti, except not in any real way whatsoever. Kev, is it a raven? Maybe put him to sleep. No, I'm not putting ravens to sleep. NYC guy? No, I'm not even going to click the video. I don't want to know about that. No. Just no, I'm not doing that. Also, I'd have to break into my neighbour's garden, which would just be a weird thing to do. Imagine getting arrested. Oh, what are you in for? I was bothering a bird. What, you're a fucking nonce? No, I was trying to get a raven to fall asleep. I was making it count sheep and everything, but I mean, honestly, being a different species, that wouldn't work anyway, I don't think. The way they interact with different species means that probably not as calming, the sheep, to a raven. The fuck am I talking about? Every time someone mentions raven, I can now only think of the character from Four Lions, who turns his pet raven into a terrorist. He straps a bomb to him. And to quote the character, I'm not saying this, the character, I want to train it to fly into them towers full of Jews and slags. I don't even know what building he's referring to. But it's God almighty. I think that raven was blind. What raven? What? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for the bits, NYC guy. Yeah, I thought I'd come on and do it like an afternoony shithouse stream. And that's basically what I'm going to fucking do. Maybe give the bird an offering. Yeah, you think I'm going to offer it? My fucking hands. The UK is essentially sort of fucked, right? I've been through that, and we'll get onto it shortly. But what I want to say is, do you remember the other day I went through the video by Bowler Hat Man? I subsequently today or yesterday, whenever, went and left a message under his thing, because you remember he put out the not challenge as such, but the kind of offer to talk about stuff if you wanted to. I put a thing on it going, I'd like to chat about this on stream one time, if you're available. And he refollowed me on the Twitters, as you do. And we've been chatting, and we're going to be on for Tuesday. It could have been today, but I've got football, so the timings just didn't really work. And he's not available at the weekend, but he is available on Tuesday. Or Tuesday, if you're American and thus pronounce things incorrectly. I haven't got a time yet. I haven't got a firmed time, but we're doing Tuesday night. So that'll be fun. And that's going to be sort of like, why the Labour Party shite? ? So I look forward to that. Yeah, so heads up on that. That should be... that could get a little bit spicy, maybe. It certainly won't be... an entirely amicable conversation, I don't think, but we'll wait and see. So, if you wanted to help me out, pay for my lavish lifestyle of sports ball watching and such, you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. You can do bits messages. 200 bits or more will get you a text-to-speech. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below. $2 or more, they get you a text-to-speech. You can do a one-off thingamajig on PayPal. You can help me out monthly, recurring on Patreon. You can go over to the Discord, join there for free. It's awesome. It's full of cool people, and there's still that bit about Palmer from the fucking World Club Championship thing. That's still there. Cole Palmer's section's still there. Doesn't make any fucking sense, but whatever. So you can go and have some fun there. I've got TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, Internet? I mean, I do have the internet, but you can't use it. You have to use your own internet connection. My internet is mine, okay? You keep your goddamn hands off my fucking internet. Anyway, Instagram is what I meant to say, I believe. Although I don't use it, so why I keep advertising it like it's a thing. Anyway, and Threads. You can go and check me out on Threads. I do post stuff there. Anyway, yes, you can... if you're on YouTube, hello YouTube. You can subscribe for Nout. You can thumb the video up. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications, etc. You can become a member for 99 pence. Not even £1 sterling. Which is not enough to buy you a Freddo in all places anymore. Which is deeply disturbing. Demonic. Diabolical. Disgraceful! I was in the middle of saying the word disgraceful. Whoever's interrupted that, I'll thank you later. Anyway, what else was I going to say? Yeah, you can become a member for 99 pence. You can give membership to the community, and you can do super chats, as somebody just fucking did. Whatever that link was supposed to be, 255, it doesn't work. So revise and resubmit. Thank you, Wolfpet, who says, brilliant. Looking forward to watching the Smug Queen get his comeuppance. I presume you mean clown. And, yeah, okay. Also, it looks like I might be on with Curtis on Sunday, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, I'm a man in demand right now. I got fingers in pies. And occasionally fingers in guys. Hey! Ho-ho-ho! I'm a little bit gay. Anyway, yes. Yes, so all of that is a possibility. Yeah, the UK, like I said, the UK is absolutely, completely and utterly fucked. So, do you remember how I might have gotten No Justice into trouble with some of her Green Party colleagues when I described current runner candidate for the leadership of the Green Party, Adrian Ramsey, as a briefcase wanker on stream? Do you remember that? Anyway, I stood by those comments then, and I stood by them ever since, consistently throughout. And I feel enormously vindicated today. Because, hang on, I haven't even fucking changed the thing over, have I? That's annoying. I'm not very good at this, am I? There we go. Boom. Turns out the cunt's a fucking landlord leech bitch. Yep. Adrian Ramsey is a landlord who rakes in £10,000 from rental income. It has been revealed. So, not only is he a briefcase wanker, we know what was in the briefcase the whole time. Other people's fucking money! Yeah, I stand by everything I said. All I'll say is, judge me by my briefcase enemies. Rather puts it into perspective, doesn't it? I now understand why Bloomberg News thought to big them up. My judgment may not be absolutely perfect, but it is on this occasion. $10,000 isn't a lot. How many units does he own? I don't know. All I know is that he is a fucking unit. A big, dangly, sweaty unit. What does this do? Rusty's been eating grass for some reason. Well, I can tell you why dogs, and indeed cats, eat grass. By the way, everyone, salutes in chat for Rusty. Absolute legend. It's to do with balancing acids in their stomach. It's very useful. That's why they'll occasionally chew on a little bit of grass. If they're having a little bit of a kind of acidy, gurgly wurgles, they eat a little bit of grass, calms it all down. Boom. So, generally speaking, just sort of let them. Don't let them eat too much grass because it can make them sick. But if they just have a little nibble on some grass, that's actually good. It's like a sort of medicine, I guess. Yeah. Anyway. So, in addition to Adrian Ramsey being a landlord piece of shit, genuinely horrific news this week, which I think I might bring up with Bowler Hat Man on Tuesday during the, let's say, debate. I don't know. The Labour Party has gone full, complete and utter turf scumfuckery. They are now to the right of the Thatcher government on LGBTQ rights. Labour is set to impose a sweeping ban on trans people from using any single-sex space. In EHRC guidance that Labour is set to approve, trans people will be barred from accessing toilets, gyms and changing rooms that match their gender. Not only is this the same unworkable shite as it always was, but this is being brought to you by the Progressive Party, the party of the quote-unquote left, I'm led to believe by certain supporters of that party. There's a reason I think that they've now pivoted to saying you have to vote for us, otherwise the Reform Party get in. Whereas they used to say you have to vote for us, otherwise the Tory Party will get in. It's because they're now basically tacitly admitting that they are now the Conservative Party. So they can't say don't vote for us or the Conservative Party gets in, because they are the Conservative Party. They want you to vote for the Conservative Party because that's them now. That's where they are. That's the space they now occupy, is conservatism. And they're now trying to scare you against an even further right party who they're also trying to placate and win votes from. Yeah, I think I might bring this up on Tuesday. I think I might have to mention this when I'm told that I'm splitting the left. I'm sorry. This is the left, is it? Is it fuck? Anyway, on the point of that shite, and on the course of talking of briefcases, I bring you these two gentlemen. It's the Social Politics channel, Politics Social, which is Graham, the guy on the bottom here, and then A Different Bias is the guy on the top there. They're both British Labour supporting YouTuberinos, and I thought we could watch some slop in the form of a video they put out called "Does Starmer Need to Go?" ? I can hazard a guess how both of these gentlemen will answer that question.
Okay, so Phil, I know you've already said this is a daft question, but
silly question.
Does Starmer need to go?
No.
Why
right,
not?
What's next?
Explain. Explain.
So first of all, again, are we going to get into one of these things where it's because of the way the Tory media present things rather than reality? In which case, what do you want? Like, what's the alternative?
Well, no,
what stops
for me,
the Tory
it's
media
more
presenting
about
things in a certain way?
Labour scoring loads and loads of own goals. Like,
they scored some own goals that are really bad ones.
Yes.
Like in a tight score. But again, if you're likening it to football,
for
it's
no
not a bad
reason.
idea. So, but if you're likening it to football, this is the situation. So
I thought we were against the footballification of politics. What happened to you people? This is not adults in the room. This is the student politique again.
So you like a team, scoring's tight in the first half, and yeah, you've scored 3 own goals, so you're 3-0 down. It looks really bad, right? Your fans are starting to leave. But we also know that the stuff Labour's doing well, which people don't know about, is coming online. So you've still got to think in a few years' time how this will work. And again, it comes down to this.
What comes online? The fucking over-disabled people. Like, what exactly do you think is going to turn this around? Oh yeah, I did see these, by the way. There are some funny ones, and this is my personal favourite. So, don't support Israel. Are you antiseptic? Is a personal favourite of mine. I might just cut out the actual face and just have that as an emote, because it is a great kind of a smug smile, which is just a smug, I suppose. Yeah.
Like, a different leader wouldn't, although you might be thinking of 2 or 3 specific policies you really hate, and I may really...
Okay, I'm going to go 1.25 on this, because neither of them talk very quickly.
Hate. And you think about a particular leader who might not have made those same decisions, but they also may not have made all the other good decisions, so they could still be on their way out at the next election.
Well, yes.
Who would there be? Who would there be?
Let's leave optics aside.
Well, you know who also might be out of the next election? I tell you who might also be out. Firstly, Wes Streeting is obviously out. Lol. And also, where are we? Oh, don't make me scroll all the way down, you pricks. There we go. Keir Starmer himself. He's predicted to lose his seat. So good he can't even keep one of the safest seats in the country. Well done, Keith. Historic levels of shit.
For a moment.
So when you say, does Starmer need to go? I think the British electorate might have a say in that.
That's right. With a leader, I don't know who could replace Starmer, but with a leader.
YRP. That's the holding name is your party. It's the what do you call it? The fucking Jombly Crumbly Concretes, Heil Hitler, fucking Jeremy Corbyn party.
Leader who was more, I don't know, connected to the way normal people speak, if you want to call it that. They could sell sand to the Arabs, as the expression goes. Like, they could take a shit policy and make it sound wonderful. And what Starmer can't do is that he still looks. We're a year in now, and he still looks like a rabbit in headlights every time he's asked a question. He's like this.
Okay, but tell me what his good policies are. You can't just say, "Oh, he's bad at selling the policy." What policies does he have that are good? What policies? Please tell me. Yeah, John, I did mention Adrian Ramsey being a landlord. In addition to the now ex-homelessness minister, who had to resign because it was outed that she'd made her own tenants homeless and then jacked up the prices. Yeah. Maybe when she was appointed homelessness minister, she thought it meant that she had to increase the amount of homelessness. So what they need to do is call it the anti-homelessness minister, just to make sure that people understand you're not pro. Look, if you're the health minister, that you're understood that you want to make people more healthy, right? So look, it can be confusing, I think. So if you're made homelessness minister, you might want to increase the amount of homelessness. You've got to be really specific, okay? The devil is in the detail.
And he's really stilted, and he doesn't talk like a normal person. He sounds like a robot, and I'm just like, what?
Yes, the Holy Grail is someone who is good at organising, on top of their brief, and
secretly ruthless.
It's a good orator. Oh yeah, you always have that. But a good orator. The oratory is, but no one else has it. No one in Labour has it. Who has it? Because if you cannot name anyone who has that skill of oratory. They don't have it.
This is the anti-monarchy question, isn't it? When everyone sort of says we should do away with the monarchy, and they're like, "What would you like to replace it with?"
Well, no, because
if we had a king, then if we had president, then Jimmy Savile would be president. He was very popular, wasn't he, back in the day?
Well, I would suggest Boris Johnson, but I know I am myself someone who says,
what is this? Nigel Farage. Today is the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. Was it being taught in schools across the country today? I hope so, but I doubt it. I mean, that's the absolute zenith. That's the core of right-wing politics. They don't actually know, but they suspect that there's an anti-British thing going on, and they're too lazy to check. Cool. My grandfather was Douglas Bader. Just thought you might like to know that our entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone thinks you're an absolute disgrace. Fair call. Check also my caption. What fucking caption? My grandfather would have been proud of what Farage has done to the country. He was a pilot in the Luftwaffe. Okay, that's very silly.
be careful what you wish for in that regard. But nonetheless, it's fairly obvious what you can replace it with in that case. In this case, it's not at all. Like, you can go through some of the ones. We know some of the people who would be involved in a leadership challenge. So you've got Angela Rayner. Now, she is appealing to a certain group of people, but very...
Yeah, the anti-allotment crowd. You know, that really massive demographic of people that hate allotments. Yeah, brilliant.
Be very unappealing to another group of people.
Phil, I don't really want to go down the route of looking at other people in Labour who might be a better or worse leader. I always want to talk about his performance as Prime Minister over the last year. I mean, there's been a few wins, and I'll give him that. But mostly, Phil, like, he has not seized the initiative. He's not taken control of the narrative in Parliament or in the tabloids or on social media or anything. He's not ridden on a wave of hope that things can change for the better. In fact, he has, I mean, you could argue he single-handedly destroyed the hopes and dreams of thousands of people in the UK.
Whoa! Hello. I'm sorry. Did someone order something from the base department? I wasn't expecting a shipment today. That is quite something. Whitelist us. Continue without support. What is this? What is as a real? I don't know what that is. But thank you, Phantom.
By his actions, especially when it comes to it's discrimination against trans people. I think that's the big one for a lot of people. On
it's not. The big one is the rhetoric about it.
Okay, the rhetoric.
No. Fuck you. Absolutely, it's not just the rhetoric about it. They're literally planning to ban people from going for a fucking shit. Right? They're going to demand to see your fucking birth certificate to go for a piss. That's not just rhetoric. They are actively making people's lives worse and taking away their rights. You fucking prick.
Making trans people feel like they're not welcome in society. And we see this there's a news report about the new ECHR report saying, they should discriminate against trans people in the fucking cinema. Like,
or they've actually come out and they're going to recommend you're not actually allowed to have a piss if you're trans.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly,
But that...
Yeah. So, like, what? So it's not just the fucking rhetoric then, and you knew that.
But again, you're either going to talk about, because you say let's leave optics aside, but you're talking about optics. So are we talking about optics or are we talking about policy?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I put policy to one side because I think even with bad policies, if you can spin it, and Tony Blair was great at spinning it, he won 3 elections on the trot. Whereas Gordon Brown, absolutely awful at spinning anything.
Yeah.
He just looked really miserable all the time. Yes. And, he was a good chancellor. I'll give him that. But he was a shit prime minister. And he lost it, the only election he stood for.
Well, yeah, but also he did have the kind of, the continuation thing. That essentially he was trying to win a 4th election. Like, I give him some leeway on the basis that he had the legacy of Blair, which he was a part of, to be sure. But he had that fighting against him. The country were kind of sick of Labour at that point, I guess. There's just a bottle on the floor now.
Prime Minister. He lost.
Yeah, I mean, the couple of things about that, though, is, to be fair to him, so he wasn't a good at campaign. He wasn't a shit Prime Minister. I think he's a very good Prime Minister. But he wasn't a good campaigner, which, to stay Prime Minister, you need to be.
Yes.
But, you could also say Gordon Brown was Prime Minister when we had a banking crash, and that was always going to cause problems, particularly as the government had been they were the established government at that point. The 2005 election, although in terms of seats wasn't close, in terms of vote was bloody close. So there's a certain extent to which Labour would have struggled in 2010 anyway.
Yeah.
Gordon Brown didn't help, and also he had quite a lot of infighting beginning in Labour, because inevitably, because this is the problem, one of the big problems Labour keep having, particularly since 2001, when they, for the very first time ever, won a proper election from government. They technically did under Attlee, but not for very long, because they didn't have a majority, really. So
they lasted like 6 years. Look, that's not a huge amount of time, but it's not nothing. It's not Liz Truss or something.
Oh, they thought to themselves, we've cracked it, we know how to win elections. And as soon as it's a bit like, when I was growing up in Doncaster, you had the Doncaster...
Oh, Doncaster! Shout out to the fucking, was it the paraglider brigades?
Council. We had Donygate. We had a Donygate when I was young. Because all the councillors...
significant enough to have a gate?
Yeah. It's got a big gate. It's got Sepulchre Gate. It's where the big shopping centre is. But the... which is a grim name to call anything where you get lots of people to congregate. But anyway, the point was that because Labour just always won, it was just a Labour town, won. You end up with basically, Donegate, it was just massive corruption. It turned out all these councils were hideously corrupt. And it's what happens when you don't have to take elections seriously. As soon as you think you've cracked it, and the election is a formality, that's when vested interest starts.
Oh, absolutely. And then it becomes about who's selected to be an MP or who's
in this case a councilor. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Same thing in Liverpool. Same thing in Liverpool.
Yeah, you'll get it everywhere. Everywhere where you don't have to take elections serious, even if they are free and fair elections. If for whatever reason you think it's a foregone conclusion. Because the
Did someone say Birmingham bin strikes? Anyone? Anyone? No? Anyone? No?
reason why you have political pragmatism is to win elections. You have to adopt certain lines to win elections. As soon as you don't have to, then ideology starts to come into it. And it's a small number of people who control what that ideology is.
Yes.
So, you know,
I think that's the problem here.
had that. No, but that was the problem in 2010. It's one of the problems.
Yeah, but that's not the problem here. The problem here is that we have an incredibly reactive government that just reacts to things. It's not. It doesn't seem to be proactive about anything.
No.
They are reactionary, certainly.
The transphobia seeping out of Labour from every pore at the moment came about because of the Supreme Court ruling, which was a ruling on an interpretation of a law that Labour brought in. Labour could use a statutory instrument to define the law from 2010.
No, they wouldn't use a statutory instrument. They would just amend it. That'd be easy. No,
Yes.
it didn't arise from that Supreme Court ruling. It's not. You know, that's when it all kicked off. But it's quite clear to me they made a conscious decision to do this in 2023, because if you look at some of
Oh, so they've been actively transphobic for quite a while. Awesome. That makes it much better, yeah.
the thing, I mean, it wasn't obvious at the time to me. At the time, I interpreted it. There was a definite shift in 2023, complete shift, and I interpreted that at the time as they were sick, because I saw the interviews every time Keir Starmer or any senior member of Labour was interviewed by Tory Kunzberg or anyone like that. It would always be, oh, what's a woman? And then they would say, they go, oh, I'm not sure. I'm confused. I'm a bit thick, you know. You're going to have to spend 10 minutes explaining it to me. And they were sick of the fact that they couldn't talk about serious issues because they were constantly being talked about, oh, what's a woman and what's a cervix? Do you know what a cervix is? And so I just thought it was strategic from that point of view. Then we had, when they first formed the... So at that point, I'm just thinking, look, you know, they're just toning it down a bit. Then I remember the very first PM Keys with Starmer. And I remember Nadia Whittome asking a question. Stuck in my mind. Because there were fears at the time about how Labour were going to be applying this report, because it was in the manifesto. Now, I thought there was plenty of cover in the manifesto because it specifically said something like this. They used the term scientific. The implication was you wouldn't have to actually implement anything in the cash review if it couldn't be considered scientifically valid, which none of the report was because it wasn't even peer reviewed. And when it has been peer reviewed, the peers have gone, yeah, this is bullshit, mate. And also, the cash review didn't actually suggest anything that Wes Streeting has done. So the policies he's enacted in the NHS for trans people, like, and it's supposed to be based on the cash review, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because I read it, and it's not in there.
Yeah.
But also, the cash review, as it had anything. Well, you see, this is my point, though. This is my point. See, people then at that time.
Phil, can I just interrupt? Sorry, we did get a super chat. Thank you very much to Kirsty McTeer for the £2 super chat. Please donate to the Good Law Project Trans Case. Absolutely, and thanks for the super chat, Kirsty. I really
so this is my point about this. So at the time, we think to ourselves. I mean, I was saying at the time, Wes Street has clearly got bad advisors here, because if he genuinely thinks that somehow these things are harmful to trans people based on zero scientific or medical evidence, and even the cash review didn't say they were. I read it in detail. I had to in the end after this furore. So I'm thinking, well, he's just got bad advisors then, hasn't he?
No, he's a transphobe. He's just a straight up fucking transphobe. Nothing to do with bad advisors. He's a hateful person.
Or it could be transphobic, we don't know either way. But the way that Labour have, after that Supreme Court ruling, just fully swung in, it's very obvious it was not Wes Streeting's decision. This is a central leadership decision. It's not come from Wes Streeting, is what I'm saying.
Another reason why central leadership might need to change.
Well, it's the advice that needs to change.
They change themselves or we change them. And the reason why I picked this today is because I'm in various Labour groups, right, across different media, right, and lots of people are talking about that they've run out of patience with Starmer. They've run out of patience with him. They gave him the benefit of the doubt for the first few months when he was running around telling everyone how awful everything was and how it was all going to be so bad and making everyone cry. And then we had the Labour Party conference last September where everyone was just dead miserable, even though they just won this landslide election. And he's taken...
But he did say release the sausages, and that was funny.
Labour from a landslide election win to the lowest polling position Labour's been in ever since 1900.
Much love, Noam.
No, ever. I think it's ever. Even when previous leader was in charge.
No, it's not. It's in government.
Okay, well, the lowest position it's ever been while they've been in government. I mean, he's got to take the blame for that. And the thing is, if you want to revitalise the Labour Party and then go, I don't know, this is now a new Labour, the way to do that clearly is to have a change at the top. Say, well, no, that was the old people. This is the new people now.
That makes so. What you're doing now is you're putting a lot of emphasis on echo chambers, small numbers of people as opposed to the big population, what would happen? First of all, like I said, you
Okay,
can't take it out of isolation.
the big population hate him too. Like, you can't do this. Oh, there's a silent majority out there that love Keir Starmer. No, everyone hates him. Whether you're a Labour Party member in a fucking Discord chat, or whether you're just your average person in the street, everyone thinks he's a wanker. No one likes him. It's about as popular as getting a fucking gas bill.
Isolation. You cannot change a leader unless you have an alternative, right? The Conservatives tried that, and they were right to get rid of Boris Johnson, but who did they get? Liz Truss. Did that do them any favours?
No.
They'd have actually been better. I mean, they couldn't keep Boris Johnson in his particular case because he was going to be suspended from Parliament. But nonetheless, in a situation, let's imagine that that wasn't certain. The Conservatives would have been better keeping Boris Johnson than getting Liz Truss in. And the same thing with Labour. So you have to say who would be better, and there is no one. There is absolutely no one. First of all, there's absolutely no guarantee that anyone that you think would be different would be different.
In the chat.
Secondly,
Yeah.
the second thing to bear in mind is you've got to focus on the vast majority of voters who, if you get rid of the leader, it's like, so what changes? Because if you change policies, then you're breaking your manifesto promise.
Unlike Keir Starmer, who's never broken any promises ever. He's such an honest and truthful person. Oh my god. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, the Labour Party would never stand for a leader that breaks promises. Fuck off.
No, but you don't have to. I mean, there was nothing in the manifesto about banning puberty blockers for trans kids. There was nothing in the manifesto about that. There's a lot of. No, there wasn't.
There was.
What? That was in the. That was in the Labour manifesto.
Yes, it was in the.
Get the fuck like him not play me all these mutants.
Hello there, mutants. How are we all? You know who I am. I'm Kevin Logan and that. Hello. We're watching these two Maltoids. I'm just doing a short briefcase stream, basically. Everyone go and follow No Justice, obviously.
But there was a line there, which now that it's been implemented, people will then say. But the thing is, again, you're again making this. You keep coming back to this issue. It's an incredibly serious issue for the people it's affecting, but it's not. And this is my argument for why Labour shouldn't have done it. It doesn't.
It's not a vote winner. It's a vote loser.
It's a vote loser.
It's a vote loser across the board.
Ladies and gentlemen,
they didn't have to do it.
we got him. Victory is ours.
How much of a soulless piece of shit have you got to be like, I don't oppose them doing this thing where they're taking human beings' rights away and giving them a kind of second-class citizenship and generally making their lives worse. I don't oppose that policy because it's like demonically evil and literally to the right of the Thatcher government on LGBTQ rights. No, I oppose it because it's not a vote winner. Like, come on. You've seriously let the kind of party politics go to your fucking head. You've lost the plot completely when that's the prism through which you see these things. Because in that case, if it was popular to, let's choose one at random, gypsies, right? If traveller people were so hated that it was popular to put them in camps and kill them all, if that was popular, if that would win Keir Starmer votes to kill all traveller people, all Roma people, would you be okay with that? Because that's a vote winner, right? And that's the metric we're using here. What about if it was you? What about if it was really popular to kill you and your family and everyone you love? What about if that was really popular amongst the C2V voter? What about if White Van Man thought that was fucking awesome? What about if that would give Keir Starmer a 1% bump in the polls? Would that be okay? You know what? On second thoughts, I don't want to hear the answer.
And the reason why I'm trying to sort of steer the conversation away from policy, I don't think that policy matters as much as being able to sell whatever it is you want to sell. Boris Johnson managed to sell Brexit. He managed to sell the biggest act of economic self-harm a modern, advanced economy has ever committed. in history, which is going to be
only at the
relative
time.
now to what Trump's doing in America with his tariffs. But at the time, it was the biggest act of self-harm. In the chat,
Hello there, Chloe Bushman. Welcome to the Kevolution.
so there's an interesting discussion going on in the chat. If you would like to join the chat, please subscribe to the channel. You can join in. Andy Burnham is the only Labour politician popular with Boomers, says Jason. And then on the back of that, we've got a lot of people saying, I hate Burnham. Callum saying, Burnham is a slimy liar. So there you go. And Svea Lance is saying, Burnham is a weather vane, sadly. And then Jason is saying, Burnham is literally the only Labour politician popular with Boomers.
Because he can say popular things. Like, he's doing a good job in Manchester, right?
I think he's doing a great job in Manchester bringing public
but he hasn't had to do
transport
anything. He hasn't had to do anything controversial. Like, it's what he's done is massively improved transport. That's
Yes.
quite, I'm not saying easy, but it was like, it's something you're going to.
Tony Blair never did that.
You put him in a. Well, he was never mayor of Manchester, to be fair. You put him in a position.
No, he was the Prime Minister. He could have done that for the entire country, and he made it worse. He continued the privatisations. Like, your argument there is so dumb. Like, he wasn't the mayor of Manchester. No, he was the Prime Minister of Manchester, because the Manchester is part of the country. So he could have done way more than Andy Burnham has been able to do. Like, it's so frustrating, because one of Andy Burnham's main talking points is he wishes he had more power to do stuff in the local area, but he's constrained by the fact that he's the mayor. Whereas, you know, the one person who isn't really constrained? The Prime Minister. So Tony Blair not making things better, that's worse, because he had the power and the money to be able to do it, and he didn't. He went and killed Iraqis instead. Just saying.
Where you put him in a position where he's actually got to come up with policies that have major drawbacks. Sean, they're saying Starmer's a Tory. You
Okay,
realise
and what? How could he do worse than Starmer? Like, you can't just shrug that off. Like, yeah, what about if he has to do that? Okay. He's certainly a better communicator. He can sell that policy better. So surely that's something in his favour, no?
this now. No, of course it's not. Again, do I have to go through the list? Do I have to keep going through the list? Biggest boost in employment rights in my entire lifetime. Biggest boost in nationalising. Literally tens of billions of pounds been spent removing things from the private sector and bringing them back into the public sector. Just because people don't talk about it doesn't say it's not happening. You've also got, putting public services into like local areas, like they're bringing the Best Start Centres or the Sure Start Centres. They were always called Best Start Centres in Scotland. I think that's maybe why they're picking the name. But the Sure Start Centres coming back and expanded as well. You know, all of these things, the Renters' Rights Bill, all of this stuff, the Tories hate.
Yeah, renters' rights. Good week to talk about that.
Hate it.
Yes.
The reason why the Tory media are absolutely doing their nuts is they hate what Starmer is doing. He is the furthest thing from a Tory.
Why? What are you talking about? He was literally fucking quoting Enoch Powell, who was a Tory minister, in case one has to remind everybody of that. Like, he's basically David Cameron. What are you talking? You mentioned 3 things which were, let's say, bigged up at best. What about literally everything else he's done? What about going after the disabled? Going after the elderly? What about going after trans people? What about arming and funding genocide? What about his unbelievably shitty rhetoric towards migration? What about literally riding Donald Trump's dick? What about now literally being outflanked by the sycophantic fucking German government who are ceasing arms sales to Israel? Something that Keir Starmer will not do. But no, he's not like a Tory at all, no. Totally different.
They absolutely hate it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be... Because there's quite a lot in the Tory media do not want Nigel Farage to be leader.
But this is the worry now is Labour are not putting up any kind of defence that is going to be effective against refuck, and I just see them doing exactly what Joe Biden did in his term as president, where he tried to make peace and tried to be nice to the Republicans, and what he didn't understand is the Republicans wanted him dead. They wanted everyone who voted for him.
Well, to be fair, they got their wish because he is dead. He's been dead for years. People don't like to admit it, but he's dead.
Dead. And he was trying to it's like trying to make peace with a psychopath. Like, don't even bother trying. They need to come out all guns blazing against refuck. Team up with the other parties like Lib Dems, the Greens, in a unison of condemnation.
With Jeremy Corbyn's party? Would you join up with them? Maybe. They are led by 2 former Labour members of Parliament, you know. You are on the left, aren't you, lads? Talking of that wobbly geek, I don't know if you were around earlier for my announcement, but I'm going to be debating Bowler Hat Man. I don't know why I said it like that. Bowler Hatman. I've got a bit Matt Berry there. Bowler Hat Man. On Tuesday about Labour and that.
And explaining to people exactly what a refuck government would look like. Because people hate Trump in this country, and the more you link refuck to Trump, the less well they do it.
Refuck. I see what he's done there.
Labour are doing that already, and
really?
It's not getting through. Yes, you're saying really, because they're doing it on a daily basis. And
have I not noticed? Have I not been paying attention?
They're not very good at it. Well, no, but you should. But nonetheless, they're not very good at it. That's the whole point. So it's all right saying Labour should do this. But the other thing is there's huge differences between us and Biden. The one similarity is what did for Biden was ultimately inflation. People didn't think to themselves, okay, prices have gone up, but has my pay gone up?
The thing that did in Biden, again, it wasn't policy. It was the fact that he should have had Trump put on trial immediately after the insurrection. He should have been put in a box and buried in the desert. That's what he should have done. And he didn't do that because he didn't have the balls to do it. He was so fucking timid, and now we've got Trump. Got a fascist in terms of, as leader of America.
In terms of like the issues that determined the election, there are other multiple differences. The first of which is, again, you are doing what everyone's doing, and so Chris there, who thinks caps lock, by the way, makes things more prominent, actually just makes it harder to read, mate. As again, just saying, but this isn't happening now, therefore it's not improving people's lives at present. We haven't got an election now either. We haven't got an election now. So if you
Okay, I'm just going to remind you of that smug little Schneider you've had there. When it comes round to the next election, and you're still completely fucked because no one likes your shit policies, they haven't improved anyone's lives. Also, you do have council elections every year between then and now, so probably best not to be complete dog shit in between elections as well.
accept that these things will make people's lives better, then all it has to do is be noticeable for the election. Now, I'm not saying that communication is not important. I constantly go on about how important it is. I continue to go on about how important it is. But nonetheless, there is meat behind it all. We have seen recent polling showing vast numbers of Reform UK supporters say they will absolutely vote Labour. They don't care about any of these issues you bring up. They absolutely vote Labour if they deal with improvements to the NHS and the cost of living crisis.
I think you overestimate how logical people are.
No, this is from polling. People are saying this right now.
Because
and the British public are full of shit. Jesus Christ. How many polls does it constantly take for like the British public to say, well, the NHS is the number one issue, and then vote for the Tories? Who, expressly have always tried to destroy the NHS. How many polls does it take for you to hear of like the people saying, oh, we'd be prepared to have a tax increase if it meant better services, and then vote for the one party promising to cut your taxes? Like, do I have to make a special Fall For It Again award? Like a special one just for you? A customised one in the form of a briefcase, perhaps? An I Fell For It Again award briefcase?
This is what they're saying.
Biden did improve things for Americans.
No. Americans did not say, you will not show me any polling that says we will vote for Biden if he does this, right? Because what they wanted him to do was lower gas prices and egg prices, and he didn't do that, and he didn't promise to do it, and neither did Harris, right? If she'd have promised to do that,
Yep.
then
Even if she hadn't done it,
probably would have won.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
So
I mean, this is the thing.
I fell for it again. I see what you've done there. Because that's the person's name.
This is what the problem, the fundamental problem with Starmer and his party at the moment is the lack of razzle-dazzle, if you want to call it that. The lack of emotional connection with the electorate.
Yeah,
it is
sure.
like we're being ruled by ChatGPT. That's how it feels. You know, when you put something into and you get this, like, it's always the same response. Do you know what I mean? Always, you just change the words around in the sentence. It just feels like artificial. It feels uncanny valley. And I think that they are in real trouble unless they steer the ship in a, you know,
but again,
not saying to a 180. I'm just...
But go back to what you've just said, right? What you've just said. You have just said the problem was that...
Yeah, razzle dazzle. Yeah, like that's the issue. You can polish a turd, but it will still be a turd.
Biden didn't address the things people want him to, but I've also just told you that polling shows that Labour are addressing the things they want them to do in this country. They have said they want the NHS to be better. The Labour are going to make it better, and noticeably better. Because I'll tell you something. Yes, people will notice if waiting times are significantly lower, because they already... I know some Reform UK. I live in Gammon country, right? I know some. And even they are giving Labour credit for the fact that they are now finding it easier to get appointments. But that's just one thing. As soon as you've got health centres popping up in your local community, in the most deprived areas, in the key battlegrounds, people can't not notice that. Because the thing about a waiting list is you can only notice it improving if you need it on a regular basis. Because if you only ever need an appointment once every 5 years or something, you don't know whether the waiting time's good or not compared with recent time.
Okay, but you understand that, like, relatives exist, and neighbours, and friends, and, you know, other family and things, co-workers, whatever. These other people exist as well. So it's not just, like, if you're a healthy person, you don't have any interaction with the healthcare system. Yes, you do. People understand if that's what's happening or not. Of course they do. Why is my fucking phone doing that? Don't do that.
So you need someone who either constantly has medical issues or knows people who do and talks about it. Whereas a community centre setting up near your street, that's noticeable. That is a big change. But the other thing about the cost of living, now the cost of living can come down to a number of things, but I was doing in my own stream earlier today. At the moment, inflation is being driven by two things: food prices and energy prices. So Labour have just announced today their first plan for knocking off a big chunk of people's energy bills just next year. Not everyone's, I hasten to add.
What's the plan?
So we'd already heard about this before, but so at the moment, particularly in Reform UK councils like Lincolnshire next door to me, this one before long, they're trying to block net zero investment. So they're trying to block our expansion of clean energy, right? Now, yes, central government can ram these plans through if they really need to, but that will take time. So Reform UK are trying to get public opinion to block these developments. So Labour, in order to get them to agree to them, are going, well, I'll tell you what, if you live near a pylon, you can have 250 quid a year off your energy bill. And that can be starting from next year.
I'll have a...
Yeah, does that count for pre-existing pylons? Because we've got fucking 2 right by us. So do I get 500 quid off me fucking electric next year? Or is this some, like, fucking shithouse stuff? Well, only new ones. Not people who've had to put up with the fucking shit for years. No. Just new ones. Just new ones, get it? 2-tier Kia indeed. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. We're just bribing NIMBYs, it would appear. So basically, middle class people will be given some money. People who actually don't need it are going to be given money. Because the poor people in the poor areas already have fucking pylons everywhere. Because we never got a fucking say in whether we had it or not. That's just the way it went. So it's going to be middle class NIMBY cunts being bribed into doing a thing that's essential. Wow, that's really gonna swing the next election.
Pylon in my back garden for that. That's great.
Well,
they're a bit noisy though.
It does, now there are a couple of qualifiers. It does say the details need to still come out. They phrased it as £2,500 over 10 years, and up to £250 a year. So I don't know whether that up to means that the idea is it starts off a bit lower next year and ramps up, or do they mean they're going to massage it according to different areas depending on how much NIMBYism there is there? If you're big on the NIMBYism, you might get a bigger chunk off or something. But either way, it's a significant chunk off energy bills just for living in it. And they can say to these people, oh, well, we need to build these pylons, right? Oh, we don't like the pylons. Oh, that's a shame, because if we build a pylon there, you could have 250 quid off your energy bill. So that's the idea there. Now, they'll need it in, that won't be the key Labour reform battlegrounds in most cases, so they will need some other schemes as well. I did quite like the zonal pricing scheme, but Downing Street knocked that on the head. They probably had good reason, but it's a shame.
I like that as well.
But they'll have, again, if they can reduce energy bills significantly from enough people, even if it's not completely universal, if it's like, you know, in different parts of the country according to different criteria, that will reduce the overall inflation.
This is a dreadful fucking policy, by the way, which is going to affect probably a relatively small number of people who are already relatively affluent. This is a shit policy. So when he said, we're going to get tough on the NIMBYs, he meant we're going to give them money. Wow, he's so tough, isn't he? He's such a hard bastard.
Bigger, because energy is a big part of it, as well as if they can really get it in areas that are key for votes, that'll be, I mean, that's quite big for a lot of people on low income.
Well, let's have a look at Starmer's. I know this came out before.
People on low incomes, mate. People on low incomes generally have pylons around them anyway. They're not going to be new pylons being built in low income areas because they already exist. That's already a fucking thing.
Before the invasion of Ukraine, this is before Trussonomics. But here is 10 things that he promised. So economic justice, increase income tax for the top 5% of earners. Obviously, that's not in the manifesto, and it's not going to happen. Reverse the Tories' cuts to corporation tax, which they have gone some way to do. But
to be fair, the Tories did that themselves to an extent, so they didn't have to.
But and clamp down on tax avoidance, particularly of large corporations.
They are doing that.
And then social justice, abolish universal credit, and end the Tories' cruel sanctions regime. Now, how does that marry up with their plan to get 5 billion out of, prize 5 billion away from disabled people?
But you're now introducing another policy into it. Those actual policy, the sanctions regime, they knocked it on the head straight away.
And introduced a different sanctions regime. What the fuck, mate? Just giving with one hand and taking more with the other isn't improving people's lives.
Have actually done that. Okay. You're now adding another policy. Now, I still agree it was a bad policy. And the other thing to note is, Labour as a whole have sort of said, yeah, we're not happy with this.
Well, yeah, because they knocked it back, didn't they? So, I mean, it's kind of moot now.
Again,
but bad leadership that it went to a bloody vote in Parliament, and then they had to pull it and change the name of the bloody bill at the last minute.
Yeah.
Come on.
The problem with that was that because they were doing it very clearly and pretty openly as a cost-cutting measure, not an efficiency measure. Yeah. What they could have done, I mean, I have people all the time telling me about people who have PIP who really don't need it. Now, not as many as they were trying to take it off. But if they'd have gone down the route of, because the whole point of PIP, it's not like, oh, you clearly have a disability, so you should have it. It's there to pay for something that allows you to manage that disability. So if in theory you have a disability where actually the money can't do anything for you, then...
That's at 1.25, by the way.
If they want to make
I think money can always do stuff for us.
No, there's certain things that you can't do. You can't. It's like, what do you do with it?
Well, I mean, hearing aids, for an example. If you need hearing aids that you can actually do a job with, not the shit ones you get on the NHS, you don't get a subsidy towards it. It's literally, you can get the NHS ones, which are just basically radios that you put in your ears. If you want proper ones that actually work for your prescription, you don't get money towards it. You don't get X amount. They don't match fund it. I mean, they match fund the lacrosse stadiums for Eton and Harrow. We match fund the cost of that as taxpayers, but for deaf people, no, we don't match fund the cost of their hearing aids. Chrissy, thank you very much for the super chat. Before Phil starts again, why should taxpayers' money be used to appease a bunch of NIMBYs who were all
true?
It didn't happen during the post-war years. Yeah, well,
By the way, you can give me a super chat as well and scare the shit out of me. And you can also give me money in other ways, I'm sure.
It's also reducing people's energy bills. Like, at the end of the day, it's reducing people. You know, you say, why are we using taxpayers' money? Eventually we won't, because energy bills will naturally come down. I cannot say it often enough. We get a load of our energy right now from gas-powered stations. That costs £75 per megawatt hour, right? From solar and wind, it's about £40, and the price is going down. So the forecast over the price of producing electricity from gas doesn't go down, because we've been developing the technology to burn things and turn it into electricity for a long time. We've basically cracked it. The emergent technology is in particularly solar. So the cost of solar at the moment is already way lower than it is for producing it from gas. And it's forecast over the next 10, 20 years to get lower still.
It's going to be pennies.
So
it's going to be pennies.
If you can do what Ed Miliband is trying to do and get 95% of our energy instead of 40, 50% max, half of our energy, 95% of our energy from these sort of sources, these clean sources, the bills come down at that. I can't say overnight because obviously they're going to be phased in, but the bills will have come down. So this, although it's going to have injection of cash to begin with, because we're having to stump the money up before we get the savings are coming. Yeah. So everyone will.
Right, but that's got nothing to do with this shit policy about fucking pylons, is it? It's got fuck all to do with that. That you're talking about investment in infrastructure, which is fine. That's good. But what you're talking about is just buying off NIMBYs rather than just telling them that they have to accept this shit. Bribing people to vote for you. Literally.
We'll have lower energy bills at some point.
We've got a question from Amy Walker, which has actually been answered by Kirsty, but asking why the ECHR has already stated their transposition in 2004. Why are Labour contradicting them? And Kirsty said, yes, the ECHR made the transposition clear in 2002. The 2004 Gender Recognition Act addressed this. Now it has been rendered nearly worthless. Yeah. Address this issue, please. Yes, I want Labour to address this issue. I mean, we can talk about it, but we're completely on your side. I don't know for the life of me why.
Oh fuck! I missed. We were on a hype train at one point. I missed that. And thank you to Mr. Peter Wood. Mr. Peter Wood for resubscribing 11 months. I completely missed that. I was too busy. What was I doing? Probably just being annoyed at stuff, I reckon.
Fuck Labour are doing this.
I do, but they're still getting it wrong. I know exactly why they're doing it, but it's still. Again, it's because the polling says that this, and this is why I have to take issue when you can talk about policy being bad or you can talk about optics being bad. The optics is not bad for this because the vast majority of people agree with this position, but they don't agree with it strongly enough to vote.
When you say the vast majority of people, I mean can we say the vast majority of Labour voters?
No, the vast majority of people.
I mean,
we know that from polling.
Yeah, and what did we learn from the Tories trying to emulate refuck? They got the asses handed to them if Labour did the same thing.
No, that was a completely different thing. In this particular case, the reason why...
God almighty, he's fucking insufferable, this bloke. Literally everything Labour does is defensible. Everything. Regardless. Everything. He's a know-it-all wanker. God almighty, I hate him. It's honestly, you just know the kind of person this is. They have a fucking answer for everything, and it's always shit.
Labour shouldn't do it is because what they're doing is they're looking at the polling and going, okay, well, a lot of people are aligned with this, we want to align with the people. But what they should be doing is going, but it has very low saliency for those people who agree with it. That's the problem. They're not focusing on saliency.
I think they're looking at the polling. And someone says, what do you make of this? And he goes, a brooch, a hat, a dinosaur.
No, David, that's not the problem. They should be doing that. They should be doing that. They shouldn't be acting on gut instinct. The problem is...
I don't think I've ever watched Phil in a debate or in a conversation before. I've only ever watched his videos where it's just him talking. So I've never heard him contradicting a person. And I have to say, it's very, very... it's the copious shit I've seen in quite a while.
That no one who's analysing that printout for them has said, we need to test salience on this.
I guarantee that Boris Johnson and Donald Trump were never ever swayed by an opinion poll about anything. They just charged ahead doing what they wanted to do.
You can't guarantee it because they're both openly swayed by opinion polls all the time.
David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kong dollars, fake handy. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum addresses the nation each morning, taking questions and speaking directly to the electorate. Starbucks Track. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yes, I said that for a long time
before, haven't we? Yeah. And Tim Ballum, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. A large part of the problem is transporting wind and solar to where it's needed. Wind turbines in the southwest are turned off and gas use in the southeast.
No,
yeah.
that's not a big problem. Honestly, it's not. Because you can also more easily build those everywhere. An island, Ireland.
That is
Don't
true.
build it in the way of ships. Don't build them around Dover. Dominic Raab would have done that. But by and large, there's lots of places we can put solar, particularly. But there's also wind.
But when we're talking about transportation of that energy, it's not like we have to put it in a truck and drive it.
And
this is stuff that actually gets transmitted at the speed of light. But we don't have the pylons in place to take these mega loads. Hence, the need to build more pylons, which is something that is being objected to by, of all people, the freaking Green Party. And you're like, of all the parties that should really be all for this Green Revolution, you'd think it was the Green Party, but it turns out they're a little bit more conservative than they like to let on. Tinkanator, thank you very much for the £10 super.
I don't want to get into defending the briefcase landlord, but I will just say he's not against the concept of having infrastructure. It's the idea of protecting nature by having it in tubes in the ground rather than having pylons, which is another way you can do it. It's more expensive and actually isn't really ecologically much better, but it's a thing. It's not them being conservative to say they're not arguing no, actually we should continue using oil and burning, like, I don't know, children at the stake for our energy. It's that there's a different way of transporting that doesn't mean having pylons everywhere. Again, it is a bit more expensive, so that's going to be the national government's big problem with that plan, I think. But that is a plan.
That's very kind of you. Labour may be more responsible and competent governments, but they react defensively and remain in denial.
Competent is the word I have an issue with there. Competent! Competent. They did just sort of lose a vote in Parliament with a massive majority over wanting to destroy disabled people's lives. So, competence.
Rather than reflecting on their past and embracing change. This is fatal in modern politics. And I agree. I absolutely agree. And thanks for your support. Can we talk a little bit more about Keir Starmer's pledges, or like what he's done?
Can I first of all just point out that electricity does not travel at the speed of light?
Yes, okay, Mr. Physicist.
And also this idea of transporting it, because even under the old systems of producing, which we're still stuck with, producing energy from fossil fuels, the production was always in the north and the consumption in the south. So we've always transported electricity massive distances from where it was produced.
Can I just ask, is electricity instantaneous? Like if you had a massive loop that went around a light bulb that was on the moon, you had a wire going to it, and you flick the switch on Earth, would it come on straight away?
No, not at all. It's at most, it travels about 20 times slower than the speed of light. So it's fairly nippy by human standards. We would get very sick if we were to travel at 5% the speed of light, but nonetheless it is not the speed of light.
I'm sure I've seen a YouTube video where they proved that it was instantaneous, Phil, because the electric field was already there. Or something. I don't know. It was above my pay grade. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Starmer absolutely does not need to go, but McSweeney and Kendall do. There you go. That's from Ivan. Thank you very much for the super chat. And rating rumours, £5 super chat. You can't fix a broken country when the electricity is broken too. Not enough critical thinking. Far too many stupid reactionary sheep. Well, rating rumours. Sorry, I take issue with that.
Rating groomers. That's a curious name. That's a very, that's an interesting name. That's all I'll say.
And thank you for the super chat, but I do take issue with that idea, because here's the thing. It is a lot easier to change the trajectory of a handful of politicians rather than to change the set life values of the majority of people in the UK. If you're Rupert Murdoch, you could do that. If you got his power, you got his reach, you could slam people over the head every day about how bad trans people are and how bad immigrants are. Yeah, of course, you can change the public opinions, how bad the EU is. But for the rest of us, just don't have that power. And go try and tell someone.
Could be dog groomers, true.
They're chasing a tree, set fire to it. That's just one person that you know personally. Never mind a stranger.
This is why, if you want to change their mind, you've got to actually focus on the facts. And making equally emotive statements doesn't do that. Like if you let's say you managed to get a hearing with someone sitting in Downing Street, and you said to them something that was not.
So you had to. So I bought him tickets for the Arsenal, and I'd gotten a personal hearing. Right, I'm with you so far. Let's go.
That they knew was not based in fact, you wouldn't convince them.
Yeah. I could just buy more tickets at the Arsenal. That might work.
You
Well,
wouldn't convince them.
maybe. I don't know, right? I mean, can
So,
we just talk about...
I do. You've got to actually.
Yeah, we know you do. We know you know everything, mate. Yeah. Your brain is so massive it contains all of the knowledge of the earth. We're aware. You're very smart. Fucking hell, man. Jesus Christ.
You've got to start from what has made them this. You've got to begin from where they. If you want to persuade someone of anything, you've got to start from their position.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage does this all the time. You've got to start from their position. What has led to them thinking this way? And then you have to move from there to what you think is the correct position.
Yep.
You cannot move from your own position.
Yep, I agree. I agree. And meeting people in the middle, this is why we often talk about a policy which can be sold to the left and sold to the right. You can do it. But unfortunately, the way politics are at the moment, I'm not in a mood for bipartisanship. I think Labour needs to be a lot more strong, a lot more ballsy in what they want to do and what they want to achieve. Or they're either going to do a half-assed version, or they'll achieve things at the moment, which will all be swept away in 5 years' time when we've got that dickhead. What's his name? Farage in number 10. So yeah.
Why is he in the Labour Party? This lad. I don't get what appeals to him. I don't know what appeals about the Labour Party to him, because he doesn't seem to support their policies, and he doesn't think their leaders are very good. Phil also has rancid takes on Scottish independence. What's his take on that? Well, because presumably he knows everything about Scotland as well, so presumably he has the correct opinions on everything, right? Do you want Starmer to suffer? What would you do but buy him tickets for West Ham? No, buy him tickets for the Blues. He can come with me and watch the game tonight. Although we will be in the stands, so security might be an issue. Although thankfully no one would recognise him, such a non-entity though he is.
It was Veritasium, whatever they're called. Veritasium, no, that's a truth serum, isn't it? Who did that video about the speed of electricity? Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. But I don't think I watched the whole thing. So, so let's talk about economic justice, social justice. These are the things that Keir Starmer pledged. Climate justice, putting the Green New Deal at the heart of everything they do. I'm going to give him a win on that because he has actually done that.
Have you found one yet that he hasn't done?
Well, here's the thing. Review all UK arms sales and make us a force for international peace and justice. Now, I know that some arms sales have been reviewed, and in fact, some sales to Israel, in cases where they thought that they might be used to commit genocide,
the IDF,
that they have been suspended. But there's other ones that are part of a bigger production set up across other countries.
And people have started to notice, chat, this literally made the front page of, I think it was the Daily Mail of all things. You know the thing I've been banging on about the spy missions? Where is it? Where's the spy mission thing? Did I not bookmark it? Did it get taken down? Did free speech warrior Elon Musky Musk... No, there we go. Boom. Right. Finally. People are beginning to fucking... finally noticing. A great noticing has even occurred when it comes to the spy planes. We've been sending British RAF, Royal Air Force, spy planes in these patterns over southern Gaza virtually every day. Up until very recently, in fact, in these particular holding patterns, as you can see there, gathering intel, and you can tell they're gathering intel and sending it to Israel, at least in part because we're given say-so to allow RAF aircraft in Israeli airspace to begin with, and secondly, the places that we do intel on get instantly bombed. Because we've just on intel found out that there were targets. Maybe there's a building left standing in one of these towns that the IDF can flatten completely, and that's what happens. So there's been a media noticing on that, which is something. I mean, it's ludicrously late in the process for it to be a something, but it is a something. Yep, here we go. David Lammy, honestly one of the most disgusting human beings to ever hold office. The UK government is continuing to send spy planes over Gaza and share intelligence it gathers with Israel, despite David Lammy's claims to the contrary. In July, the Foreign Secretary insisted the UK government was not assisting in Israel's brutal assault on Gaza and would never do that when asked about the surveillance missions. Lammy explicitly stated the UK had not shared information, was not sharing information with Israel. However, the UK government sources have since confirmed to the Times that it is continuing to send spy planes over the besieged enclave and that the intelligence it gathers is being shared with Israel. Sources told the paper that intelligence gathered by undisclosed RAF aircraft and other British assets in the region is being handed over to the Israeli military so it has up-to-date information. The British government is doing genocide. I just want you to all know that. The British government that these two pricks are defending is doing genocide. Just a little heads up for you.
That we haven't pulled out of because it would have disrupted our...
So read the specific pledge out again for me, just so I get the wording. I've not got it in front of me.
So yeah, it says no more illegal wars. Introduce a Prevention of Military Intervention Act and put human rights at the heart of foreign policy. Review all UK arms sales and make us a force for international peace and justice.
So I mean,
so what score
in terms of like, yeah. So for example, although some people just want Israel to have no weapons even to like defend their own civilian populations, and they don't care if the removal of F-35 parts also, for example, prevents us protecting ourselves against Russia because they're also on Russia's side, right? So that's the issue there.
What the fuck are you talking about? What was that sentence? What, we have to sell weapons to Israel to do genocide because we need to defend ourselves against Russia? Hang on, I'm going back for that. Hang on.
If the removal of F-35 parts also, for example, prevents us protecting ourselves against Russia because they're also on Russia's side, right? So that's the issue there.
How does the removal of F-35 parts do anything to stop us? What are you talking about? Surely that just means we have more F-35 parts because we're not selling them to Israel, right? Did he say Israel's on the side of Russia? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
But they've done that. They've actually done that.
Mm.
No, they haven't.
We're not selling arms to anyone who's using them against civilian populations.
Oh, God almighty. Yes, we fucking are. We have consistently, over the course of decades, done so in various parts of the world, the most prominent of which today would be Israel. We are still selling them huge amounts of weaponry that can and is being used offensively against the Palestinian people. You fucking lying bastard. That's such a briefcase answer as well, because that's the thing that every British Foreign Secretary says. We're not selling weapons that would be used against civilian populations. And then when it comes out that that's happened, well, we didn't know it was being used against civilian populations. We'll take that into account in the future. See? It's a nice catch-all, and you can just do that rinse and repeat forever and ever and ever. Never having to ever give a fuck about how many innocent civilians you're killing on behalf of BAE Systems or who else? Boeing or whoever, you know.
Maliciously.
So we're not selling arms to Saudi Arabia anymore. That's good.
Are they at the moment using them?
Yeah, they were bombing the Yemenis quite recently.
No,
and, you know, they did roll a tank into Bahrain in 2011 in case, you know, they got ideas about their station.
Power then. I seem to remember Labour weren't in power then. And certainly Starmer wasn't.
I remember having a drink with a guy in Bahrain who was wearing the full dish dash. So where are you from? I said Saudi Arabia.
For example, if, for example, we were to stop allowing anyone to have arms that has ever used them to commit crimes against humanity, we'd have to not allow ourselves to have any.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but is that, you think you've made a good point there? Like, if we make weapons here and we want to keep them, that's one thing. Selling them becomes a very different thing, doesn't it? Like, also, are you suggesting that, oh, well, because we did genocide in the past, it doesn't matter that we're doing it now? This is like some of the far huffiest shite I've ever seen. I'm glad I bothered stepping on here. I wasn't going to do a stream today, but I thought I'll do a fucking silly little slop stream. I'm glad I did, because this is an entry into a new bit of the world here, I think, for me. I might need to look into these streams more, I think, because these are so far up their own arses. Especially the Phil guy at the top here. What a wanker.
Hang on, I was telling me a story about the guy I met in Bahrain in the bar, and he was wearing a full dish dash, and I said, where are you from? He said, Saudi Arabia. I said, how come you're having a drink? Because he was drinking some Johnny Walker. And he said, this is Bahrain. This is not Saudi Arabia, this is Bahrain. Allah cannot see Bahrain. So that's what they should have on the sign. As you're driving across the causeway, it should say, Bahrain, Allah's blind spot.
Yeah, they should...
Well, I remember, oh God. This genuinely did happen, right? When I was at college, there was a guy from, I think it was Nottingham or somewhere. Anyway, in the first dorm we were in, like, you didn't like choose who you were in there with, and one of the guys was a Muslim guy, right? And he literally had a debate in one of the public corridors. So there was a theology. It wasn't a lecture. He was one of the like key worker people. So like the people who do the reading groups and stuff. So like one of the kind of people who's training to become a professor at some point, but he's not yet a professor. Anyway, and he was chatting with him about stuff. And anyway, blah blah blah. And it was during Ramadan, right? So you're not supposed to eat at all, unless you have specific medical things or whatever. And I didn't even realise this. You're not even supposed to. Like brush your teeth or anything. You're not supposed to really do it, like ingest anything at all. And he was being told this by the theology chap, and he literally said the phrase, and I burst out laughing, and I felt bad because they both looked at me like I was mental. He said the phrase, Allah wouldn't want me to have bad breath. Right? And I thought that was such a wonderful interpretation. I thought that was such a wonderful interpretation of what this person thinks Allah would want for him. It doesn't say that anywhere in the text. No religious teaching says this. That was his, like, well, Allah, of course Allah wouldn't want me to have bad breath. And I fucking pissed myself. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And they both looked at me like I was a fucking knob. And you know what? They were right to. God bless him. I wonder what he's up to now. I've lost contact with basically everyone from those days. Mind you, it was the thick end of 20 years ago now. Good Lord. How old I feel.
Gambling and titty bars and alcohol everywhere.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think that's a bit rude. I mean, a colleague of mine years ago was suggesting I go to like the Middle East to teach because they were offering like, and I was single, so they were offering big salaries, tax free, and I would have just been homesick. But I wouldn't have drunk there.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not like it's a perfectly sensible, and I know it's mostly a religious law, but it is also. I mean, alcohol is bad for you. So I would have just been teetotal while I was there.
We had another super chat come in from Tinkinator. Thank you so much, Tinkinator. That's very kind of you. It's not that the people at large are stupid. It's more that they don't have the time. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Tinkinator. Energy to think and reflect on politics more deeply, awash in social and economic forces driving democratic decline. Yep, couldn't agree more.
I think I basically done. Ah, how did that happen? I don't know. I didn't press the volume buttons at all, but it all went muted. They all automatically went muted, so I don't know what the fuck I pressed. That was very strange. I literally didn't fucking touch the volumes at all. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into the live streams these people do, because I got a very different view of Phil from that than I ever have from any of the videos of his I've watched. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go and watch football now. Yes, and no, I didn't press my keyboard either because it's literally there. I'm like several inches away. Giggity. So yeah, I don't know what the fuck I pressed or what happened, but it was whatever. It got sorted. It's not like you missed me saying anything. It was yes, we were at home to Ipswich Town. Yeah. Fucking Birmingham City versus Ipswich Town. One of the biggest games in world football. Some people will say it's El Clasico. Some say it's Der Klassiker. Some will say it's the Old Firm Derby. One of the big games, Boca Juniors versus River Plate. Flamenco versus Estudiantes. Or whatever the fuck, however you pronounce it. But no, clearly it's Birmingham City versus Ipswich Town. And that's why the Championship have decided to start this season with us. Which means I have to go now and do that. So yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. I might get very drunk though, so I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow. Ipswich have won things in the last 75 years, Kev. Well, I think you'll find of the two teams to have won a major trophy, Birmingham City were the more recent of the two, given that we won the League Cup in 2010, whereas Ipswich haven't won anything since the 80s. Good day to you, sirs, and madams, and MBs, and all of that. Right, let's see who's going on Twitch. No, on YouTube first. Who is going? I don't know who streams at this time of day. Navara Media streaming. Do I want to send you into Navara? There's no justice on Navara. I don't know. I'll send you into the fucking Navara. Who cares? And on twitch.tv, who is going? Who is going? James from the internet is going. Gremlo is going. We'll go over to Gremlo. Fuck yeah. Okay. I haven't had some Gremloid action in a while. Yes, I will see you all possibly tomorrow. I don't know. Thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you everyone for your support, especially at this weird hour. Free Palestine.